Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jean-Jérôme, and I'll be your host for the session today. Thank you for joining us for this webinar presented by Several Nines. My colleague Christoph is on the line with me, and he'll be presenting for us today. But before we do that, I just wanted to go through a few housekeeping items. First of all, just to let you know that we're recording the session, and we'll be making the recording available after we've completed today's round of webinars, including the slides, so they'll be made available online. And I'll share the details with you via blog and also via email over the next few days. So watch out for that. But for now, thanks for joining us. You can ask us questions at any point during the session by using the question section of your control panel, which you should see quite easily. So feel free to ask us any questions there, or also use the chat box if you need to contact me for any technical issue with the system as well. So thanks for your time today. Before we get started, I wanted to ask everyone in the audience a quick question, and this is to really to understand what type of audience we have today. And the question is on whether you're using Galera, because of course the topic today is how to monitor your Galera cluster. So it'd be great to know at what stage each of you are in terms of using Galera, whether it's in production or in a test environment. Maybe you're just investigating, or maybe you just want to find out some more information today, but have no concrete plans just yet. So it'd be great to just have your input here. I'll give it a few seconds. Great, thank you. Thanks for your participation. I'm just going to close the poll and share the results. Great. So it's an even split actually between some of you have Galera in production, so it's almost a 50-50 split there. And another half have Galera in a test environment, and everyone else seems to be investigating. Some of you have no plan just yet, but maybe after the session you might want to look into it. So thank you for participating in this poll. That gives us a nice overview of how you all use Galera today. And with that, having said that, I'll hand over to my colleague Christoph now for the actual session on how to monitor your Galera cluster. Over to you, Christoph.
Thank you, DJ. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So let's start with a short introduction. Who am I? My name is Krzysztof Książek, and I'm a MySQL DBA with 8 years of experience. I worked for 2.5 years in a consulting company, starting from Palomino, then it became a Python, Blackbird, and eventually became a Python. I worked with, among others, customers like Flipboard, Pinterest, Codes and Desks. And currently I'm working here at Several Nines as a senior support engineer. So today we'll be talking about monitoring Galera cluster. So first we will start with a short discussion about why do we need a good trending system at all. Then we will discuss a couple of Galera related metrics. And we will discuss some host metrics, monitoring host metrics and their impact on MySQL and Galera, and then we will cover some more the most important InnoDB metrics. So why do we need a good trending system? Well, because we need to have a visibility. We need to have an insight in the operations that are going under the hood in our system. So the first question is, the monitoring versus trending, because it's not something that, something is confusing. Sometimes it's confusing. So the monitoring system, for example, Nagios. So this kind of system does some checks. It verifies that services are up and running, and if not, they will somehow alert the user, whether the emails or integration with PagerDuty or other paging services. And then we have trending systems, like for example Cacti or Graphite, that collects the metrics from the servers and then presents them in some nice way, like graphs or something like this. Obviously, there are some, both sides of the equations are necessary, because we have to have alerting, and also we need to have some trending, because this is what actually gives us the insight into how our system operates. So why do we need a trending system? Well, for starters, periodical health checks, something that DBA or system administrator does, like daily, weekly, on a regular basis. To go over the system, check whether everything is okay, if there are some anomalies, investigate if needed, this kind of stuff. Also, as I said before, trending system gives us the insight in all aspects of the database operations. So we want to be able to dig into under the hood, what is going on, what kind of metrics are there, if everything is okay, and if not, then we want to be able to figure it out, what is going on, and get this data. Post-mortem and proactive monitoring. Well, we need to, it's obviously no one can be online all the time, and issues happen while nobody is watching. And then we want to have ability to check the historical data and to figure it out how the issue evolved, what caused it, find some patterns that may be related to our workload that caused it or something else. And also proactive monitoring. So we want to have a good visibility into the problems, into the issues or the way that our system operates, in the as close to the real time as possible. And last but not least, we need a trending system for a capacity planning. It's because the trending system should be able to provide us with historical data, and with this historical data we can derive some trends. We can figure it out whether our workload, the load on the system is going up or it's stable. What ratio do we have to plan for upgrade soon or not? This kind of information. Health checks. So yeah, well, health checks are a pain. I've been there and I've done that, and I know it for sure. Because as long as you have a couple of hosts, that's just fine. You can go over them and graph by graph and see what is going on. But as soon as you have tens of host servers, then it's getting more and more time consuming. Therefore, you want to see your data aggregated. For example, on the left side of the slide, on the upper part, you can see a screenshot from the cluster control, where you have a whole cluster aggregated into 3 nodes aggregated into one single graph. This is something which basically gives us, on the first glance, you can see if something is okay or not. If there's a huge drop, then maybe it's time to investigate further. But if not, then it could be everything just fine and not worth working over, reading over like tens of graphs for a couple of nodes in the cluster. But if you find something, then you want also to be able to drill down into a particular host. So we want to be able to check server by server, because maybe something happened on one of them and not on the others. So in cluster control, there's a show servers checkbox. Just take one click, and you will move from the aggregated list to a couple of graphs, one per server. And also, you don't want to go over all of the metrics. There are tens of metrics that are presented, made available by MySQL or Galera. So you want to have it. You want to see the most important data. And cluster control, for example, there's this overview section where you can have. You have a couple of predefined graphs, and you can add some more graphs should you wish to do so, like something more meaningful for your particular workload or something. But in general, the idea is to have a couple of graphs that gives you the most important information about the health of the cluster, and then if something is not right, then you want to have the ability to dig into the internals. So yeah, here we are talking about this in this particular slide. So as you can see, we can dig into the, we want to have this ability to go over the MySQL status counters one by one, because if something is wrong, then there is maybe you know, maybe there's information in those in this data, in those graphs, and we want to have it available. So in cluster control, it can be either, you know, aggregated cluster-wide, or it can be per node graphs. Also, for capacity planning, it's nice to have the ability to present time-shifted graphs, like you know, to see, for example, the given number of queries per second, number of selects per second, and how it changed compared with like, I don't know, a week ago or a month ago, something like this. So you can see the change on the same graph. You can more easily find the trends and decide, you know, whether you are reaching your capacity, or and when you will be predict when you will be reaching the capacity of your cluster. Post-mortem and proactive monitoring. As I said, it's necessary to have ability to dig into the past data, that's for sure. And also, what's important is to have as low granularity of the data as possible. Because the thing is that some of the systems, of the trending systems, aggregate your data like per minute, or sometimes even longer, for like 5-minute basis. And it may be you know, really frustrating, because you can see that something happened at a given time in a graph, but you don't have the resolution, you don't have enough granularity to actually see how it changed, what changed, and it is indeed really frustrating. So as close to the real time as possible in terms of granularity, the better. Cluster control gives you 5 seconds, even less depending on your hardware. So this is pretty nice resolution. And also it's important in terms of the proactive monitoring. When we are watching the things happening at the given moment, and we are seeing some trends, it's important to be able to catch those trends as fast and as quickly as possible, and not, let's say, wait 5 minutes for next, you know, for a graph to refresh and to present another 5 minutes of aggregated data, because it may be, you know, already too late if something is happening quickly and the situation is changing.